I revoke and make null and void all contracts, rituals, programs, frequencies, harmonics within my mind, body, soul, and spirit, within my heart of understanding, within my alienated heart, all conscious and subconscious agreements with all malevolent forces, internal and mental abusive influencers, my narcissism, my psychopathy, my savagery, my deficits, all violent energetic entities, abusive thought forms, and patterning, in my embodiment and within all human embodiments, in my ethereal, energetic life within all forms of existence, in this plane, in this reality, in all planes, in all forms of realities, in all mental, emotional, and etheric spirited dimensions, perceptions, multiple timelines, past, present, and future. I revoke all false parasitic beliefs, thought patterns of enforcing others' thoughts, forms of their projected realities, their savagery, their programming, their agendas, their destruction, their fear, their influency, from within their mental and internal belief structures of their dominions, their lords, their creeds, their religion, their worship, their inner movements, their kingdoms, where they and those enforce, mesmerize their projections and Babylonian illusions and magic through external cruelty within my thoughts, my heart, my consciousness, my infinite creative power, entering into my inner sanctuary as a parasite feeding off of my creations and my realities made manifested. I revoke all parasitical mental thought forms, patterns that are dominating and subjecting me to believe in them from the very inception of their existence, of my existence, throughout my life paths, their actions, their existence, where they parasitize on the judgment of my consciousness to view their actions as they harm towards me. They harm all life, all humanity, all animal, all plant, all life on all versions of earth, all life in the sea, all life in the air, and all life in the ether, all terrestrial and extraterrestrial realms, all living transient elemental, their tyrannical lies and destruction. I collapse and fold and dissolve into oblivion the mental thought program that uses my creative power against me and through me, using my weaknesses against me to overpower me with belief in the mental parasite that manifests itself through the enforcing of the false beliefs, energy to feed their existence and to fuel their catastrophe. Their catastrophic contracts, rituals, plans, and programs within my spirited infinite consciousness. I make null and void and fold back into itself and the parasitical construction of the mental thought patterns that violate the natural laws of this universe and install and replace and invoke within myself, within all, peace, love, balance, conscious awareness, heart-centeredness, care, nurture, harmony, and remembrance of the universal laws with consciousness for the universal mind, which is great spirit within the laws of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect and gender. Great spirit as the multi-universe exists in perfect harmony, love, creation, and order by virtue of these laws made in existence with us, for us, and within us, as we are within it. It is done.
Hi everyone. This is the second time that I'm recording this video. I've decided to make a plan. As you can see, I've got a mic here. So let's see how this goes. So today's video is one that discusses the fall of Atlantis. We're looking at the remnants of a fallen paradise. And in such, we're also looking at the inversion of the Garden of Eden and how it relates to the fall of paradise, or the fall of Atlantis as such. We know that from the previous video that we had with regards to Catharsis, that referenced to us the elements that were inside of the garden. And to just refresh your mind, I'm just going to bring it in for you just so you can remember that there is God, there is the tree, there is Adam, there is Eve, and there is the snake, and there is the garden. And all of these elements represent the God, or the consciousness of us, of your mind, your soul, your great spirit thought. Now, why is Atlantis falling? Well, I can tell you in a short version of it is Atlantis is an inversion of the Garden of Eden. And it has to fall because it's set up to fall. Because it represents in it certain keys that we must take note of. When I say that we must take note of these keys, I'm referring to the elements that are in the mythological archetypal story of Atlantis. Look, they did not really find any credible proof, although my observation and my awareness with regards to Atlantis was that that was originally Pangea and had all the continents converged in one place. One could say that Atlantis was the navel of, or the navel of the entire civilization as it started up. This not necessary to do with the beginning of the origin of the mankind itself and the races that came before that. This Atlantis period is reference to the period that we're in right now. And it relates to the weeding out of the factors or the elements that are inside our Garden of Eden. Now, prior to this, there was a reference that I'd made with regards to H.P. Lovecraft's description of Cthulhu, which is the primordial essence or primordial force or the primordial soup, whatever you want to call it, the primordial element that is essentially raw matter or the raw form before anything becomes matter. And that energy is in between the layers of our reality. Our reality exists in one plane. This is not to do with flat earth or anything, whether the earth is this shape or that shape or that. It's got nothing to do with that. We are in a plane of existence, which we are experiencing, or a reality is rather the better word, is a reality. And we are not limited to only 5D, which it seems to be, everybody seems to be connecting with that belief system that we are now reaching 5D. We are not. We have always had multiple dimensional realities within ourselves. I mean, if you look at why would you limit yourself to a 5-dimensional perception or experience when you are infinite consciousness? And so, therefore, that belief system that we are entering into a 5D, this is just for interest's sake, is really a limited belief of only a 5-sensory perception as such. 5 senses, 5 dimensions. There's no growth in that statement. We are infinite consciousness and we have multiple realities within ourselves. Our discussion is based on a reality as such, a very particular reality which is unique to us. to our frequency, to our vibration in this channel, in this community. Now, Lovecraft vilified the primordial force as Cthulhu. This is in the previous video. If you have not watched Catharsis, please do so. I know it's a very big piece of work. It's a very heavy work to go through. There's a lot of information in each of in that work, and that is an accumulation of how the progress has formed itself within us and within how we affect our reality around us. And so that is literally based on that. The fall of Atlantis is the next level of observation in how we are operating in this reality. And for us to understand that Atlantis as an archetypal or antediluvian, that word archetypal reference to an inversion of Eden. That is important for us to take note of. To vilify the primordial force, like Lovecraft has called it Cthulhu. Therefore, we use the reference Cthulhu. Therefore, what we have been doing with regards to the revocation and the mantras over the last few months has now brought in an enormous amount of energy that is clearing itself out of this reality. We are cleansing the primordial forces from within us and through us and around us. Remember, I said that our connection is always to go within. Therefore, we are also the needle that we go through, the eye into the needle. A needle is also a reference to a point of light. Again, the reference that the Masonic lodges and Kabbalistic magicians have claimed that word as 1,000 points of light is utter nonsense. They have claimed something that is original. It is as if you would go and take someone's body of work and to claim it as if it is yours. So in other words, stealing your work and then putting your name at the end of the paper that you've written, whereas someone else has done all the work and you're trying to get all the merits for that. So 1,000 points of light. Come on. You follow what I'm saying. So now, coming back to the reference of the work. How is Atlantis falling? If we want to understand the capacity of our Eden, paradise, we understand that paradise is a reference to, and again, this is adept information. This is a lot of work. This might be a lot to take in. So I would advise to take time and take your time and listen to it and think about it. And of course, as I always say, please don't just accept it all just as mum. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying think, use your discernment, investigate everything, and retain that which rings true to you in your progress. All that I am doing and all that this channel is about is to show the way in every perspective. What we're doing essentially right now, and I don't think I actually mentioned this before, but what we do with regards to this channel is to understand that we have always had the light. As Prometheans, we always have had the light. All that we have been doing is to reference and see that we have always owned that light. We never needed to steal light from anyone or to steal fire from the gods to give to mankind. We never took on that role. And that role is also a belief system in itself. It's also fake. It just keeps a person in a subjective reality of belief where there is no self recourse. There's nothing. You can't do it for yourself. You need a middleman to define you. Bullshit, as you know. So, what is synonymous with Atlantis is that as the story goes, it is in reference to a civilization, a society. And the society was a very cosmopolitan society, from what I can recall. And this is tapping into a past life that I had, where I recall that they were pretty much like how everyone is right now. Everyone pretty much did their own thing. The whole romance around it is really from the author's point of view as they were writing notes on this particular article. As such, it's an ever eternal mystery that they romance and mesmerize people with, so that people will become more, that people will buy into that story, buy into the romantic version of it. Atlantis was a very advanced society, pretty much like the societies that we get now. And in reference to what their downfall was their abuse of crystal technology. Now, I recall very clearly that it was pushing the envelope to see what others would do and to actually get away with murder, just like what they're doing right now. And so these characters, like these people like Gates and his cronies, Soros, you name it, the whole lot of them, I believe very strongly, and it's strong for me to say I believe, but that they are remnants of Atlantis. They're still here, that's how long they've been here. And all that has happened was they just transcended into a new body every time. They did not ascend, or ascend's not the right word. They did not transcend into a higher consciousness, a higher awakened state. They chose through their beliefs, their contracts, to stay here. And staying here is already an awareness to them that that is eternal, eternal forever life. This is part of the Atlantean belief system, is to believe that one will live forever, one will be as pretty as ever forever, and one will look like someone from Baywatch. Really, that is the really a rough way for me to explain that, but that is the belief system. The Atlanteans must not be these Atlanteans that are here in this garden, must not be confused with the original uh, beings that existed, the building blocks that founded the human race and all other beings. They are Lyrans. They are Pleiadians, Lyrans, Lyran, however you want to say it, Lyran, and they come from all over. Their seeds of consciousness came from an original point of light as an existed group of individuals, beings, species. And the reason that they are so, they were actually exploited because they had come to such an advanced state of consciousness that they did not see the need to hide, to fight, to argue, to be tangled up into drama and shit like that. And so therefore they had come to the peak of their existence, which I pretty much think what happened to um, Mayans, for example, as just the first that I can think of. So society, the original structure of the human society, or society as a group of individuals that live in a structured lifestyle, um, are inherently connected to needing to move towards a particular direction. It's in our nature to always get better, do more, do this, do that, get to B, get to point B, get to point B. And then when we get to point B, I think we don't know what to do with ourselves, because I really think that people forget the journey to go towards point B. Point B is not 5D ascension, floating up in the sky and going into another world. That is not point B. That doesn't exist. That is a fake belief system. And please be mindful that let no one tell you that that is an actual thing that exists. I've explored numerous avenues. The only way out of here is growth, is through inner growth. Wherever you are, in whatever state of consciousness you are in, inner growth, awakening, awareness, being aware that we are existing in a planet that is pretty much the shape of a book. Sometimes it's in the shape of a Mills and Boon's book, Lots of Lust. Sometimes it's in the shape of a National Geographic book. A lot of animals in there. This planet, this plane, this page, this scroll has our lives in picture form, our experience we see in the book. We connect with the pictures in the book. We connect with the story. We feel personal to the story. We are touching base with the primordial consciousness through our experience, how we interpret and how we understand the reality that we're existing in. What's very important is that we take note that downfall, coming back to Atlantis again, and please forgive me for jumping around, but I am speaking as how I'm guided. The fall of Atlantis is in relation to the abuse of crystal technology. Crystal technology in itself is a principle or a concept that we must understand first before we say, taking the stone and putting stuff in it and making it turn and turn and send some frequency out to change things. It is to some extent related to these, but it is also not entirely correct. Crystal technology, to crystallize something is to bring something that was moving into something that is not moving. There is an alchemical process that takes place. Steam becomes water, water becomes ice. And some people have the capacity to take something that is organic, like fire, for example, the awareness of consciousness, and to freeze it into technology, into a crystallized form, like liquid crystal display, LCD, which is, it's a good thing to have. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be aware of me and I wouldn't be aware of you, and we would not be able to connect the way that we do, although we would probably be sensing each other, which is also in itself, it's a lovely feeling to know, to feel one another. But you must speak into that person because it's in our nature to talk to one another, because we are inherently alive and warm-blooded, and we are organic, and we are moving within our humanity, and we are sovereign within the awareness that we are aware of our covenant or our agreement that we have made with Great Spirit, so that we can be expressions of Great Spirit in our individuality. Now, if there's another thing that I need to bring into your mind to share with you, walk with me, please, is that we must understand that to crystallize something is to freeze it. In the previous video that I spoke with Marita Wieman from the Golden Voyage, we spoke about that, and I'd said to her, we have a problem if everything that is warm and fuzzy becomes frozen. What do you do? And she said, stand in it. and observe it so that it can move towards the next stage. And yes, I want to agree. I want to say we are standing in it right now. We are absorbing within ourselves our awareness of who we actually are. We are travelers. We are explorers. We explore the book so that we can take note of how we can interpret the experience so that when we return back to our original form as Great Spirit, as a part of Great Spirit in itself, we can feed back the information and we can feed it back to ourselves. This is just a chance to give yourself an opportunity to explore and take in and notice and take a note so that you can carry on to the next reality that you're going to go into. Why this planet, this plane, this cosmos, this solar system is based on a very on quite a lot of elements that are telling us what to do, even if it's in the most bizarre, ugliest, disgusting ways ever. So why? The question is, why are we here? Why are we doing the exploring? Why are we alive here, living here? The simple answer is to learn. The more complicated answer to that is to become aware that what we are seeing, that we are constantly changing our reality within ourselves, that we are becoming aware of things, we become aware of the request that Great Spirit seeks to understand about human race, the human existence. Actually, all we're doing is just to get information so that we can come back to Great Spirit and say, hey, this is what we got. This is what we learned. We came back from another land and we brought fruits with us. And some of us didn't bring any fruit with us. And so the ones who brought fruit from those lands that appeared to be dull and dreary and dead, those are the ones that actually have potential. You can go into a place and you can gather fruit from it. In other words, knowledge, information, insight, and experience, and apply it to yourself as an individual, infinite conscious being, then you are that much closer in achieving interconnection with Great Spirit. Does have its perks though. Lovely coffee, love animals, love animals, people getting to know you, you getting to know me. So, why did I bring up the inversion of Atlantis or the inversion of Eden? Because Eden represents the consciousness, as I've said. Why is Atlantis the inversion of Eden? Because Atlantis is based on crystallizing energy and making it matter, making it a reality, making it something real, physical, tangible. Why are we weeding out the Garden of Eden? Because we are reclaiming ourselves. We are unrooting and uprooting the parasitical consciousness that is around us from our conscious state. And while we're doing that, what we're doing is we're also influencing the progression in a parallel with the Atlantis mythology, the Atlantean story. What led up to the fall of Atlantis was the building or the erecting of the Tower of Babel. where there's a lot of words that were being spoken. Babble is words, babble, 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 talk, talk, talk. All those words that happen in the Aquarian age. Words are water. When there's a lot of talking and no action, it becomes a flood of water. It's a tsunami. For those who have had dreams of tsunamis and floods, it's a lot of talk that you have experienced around you. It represents that in itself. So you should not have any fear of that. It took me a while to figure it out, but I've managed to figure it out. And it could also be in reference to what actually happened back then. You see, our roots as this human society has the foundation of Atlantis. And why is Atlantis falling? Atlantis is falling because it's designed to fall. We are designed to drop things that we cannot carry with us. That is the fall of it. When something falls, it means I let go of it or it drops away from me. And that is what we're doing. We are going deeper into clearing ourselves. And so, therefore, Atlantis will fall because it's designed to fall. We are in the Atlantean period right now, as we speak, where we are letting go of things that we cannot carry with us. We cannot bring it into our conscious state. We cannot bring it with us. You can't take your dog or your parent with you as you transcend into a higher frequency state of consciousness, but you can be there and be observant and love and care and be kind. You can do all of that. Why does it fall? Why does Atlantis fall? It falls because it falls through its crystal technology. It's the abuse of crystal technology. In other words, it falls when we are aware that that we are infinite consciousness and that we are always existing, whether we are existing in this body or in a rock or in a tree or in an ant or in an animal or in another person or in that person or whatever or on another planet. It doesn't matter. You are infinite consciousness. We are infinitely conscious about our existence as eternal, great spirit, ownership claimed of who we are. We are experiencing this reality, this timeline in the human form because we chose to want to experience this life in an organic human matter, human movement. And what we're touching base on is to touch base with our heart energy, which is what was the original state of this channel, Armed Heart, for those who remember Armed Heart, and how to protect our hearts. And now we have transcended into becoming aware that our hearts have been the place, the heart of understanding, not this physical heart, although there is a portal here, but the heart of understanding, the awareness as such. We know that those who manipulate and interfere with the crystals in the first place, those ones that I've told you that have been living here for a long time, what they've done was they have changed the reality as they go about. Everything that they do is inverted. So in other words, see them as the mirror of us. Don't see them as black, dark, evil, uh, satanic, Luciferian, demonic, etc., etc. Don't stop seeing them as that. I call them parasites. I should probably stop as well, but something that is inherently trying to change the energy that we are existing in, I would call a parasite. I feel justified in calling them parasites because what are they doing is they live in an inversion. So therefore they feed off our life force. What is that other than a parasite, a vampire, a narcissist, a psychopath? whatever you want to call it. It's something that does not live within itself. It lives with it. Its functionality is the opposite of infinite consciousness. Although it is infinite in its existence, its role that it plays is to be in opposition. But how does the opposition, or how did the opposition start to take control? More control, perhaps. Perhaps. That doesn't mean that they have. Is their intention is to take over our existence, our perceptions, how we exist, our reality, and our infinite consciousness by absorbing that energy into themselves. And then the window or the door between this reality that goes like this and that reality that goes like that. This reality here, this door in the middle is a crystal. They suck your energy through the crystal and make it into a reality in the way they want. So, Eden, Atlantis, Atlantis, upside down world. When we're aware of them, and you can spot them quite a mile away, you can spot them when you're listening to them. Some of the people that you might be thinking are fantastic, amazing information people that they give. It's just too smooth, isn't it? It's just too smooth. Word, words. How did they get so strong? Maybe because they were always so strong. It's not that we've just noticed that they became so strong. They were always there. I'd rather change it to saying, oh, we can see more now. And oh, is that what they are? Okay. Good for you. Knock yourself out. There is another element that I'm going to bring in as well, which with regards to their existence and what keeps them afloat is part of what is inside the entire human race. Some part of the human race is the extraterrestrial element called Orions. And as you know me, I've been hammering on the Orions for a while now. I don't think there was any information about the Orions before I started to give my peace of mind on it. I can say that with assurance. And I know that you were thinking it as well, that you were aware that there's like, what's up with the Orions? So what is Orions? What do they live for? They are narcissists. They are extraterrestrial. They live as an addition to something that is warm and existing, something that is based on Lyran principles. They are the additional part that's just sitting there. You see, creation is whole at all times. It doesn't matter what's in the creation itself. The archetypes that are inside creation or the creation of the conscious thoughts are, we are thinking in a whole manner. In other words, when I say whole, I'm saying WHOLE. We are whole. In other words, nothing can be added to it and nothing can be taken out unless you expand so you can accommodate more. Their position in relation to that particular description shows that they are just sitting on the edge of trying to come into the blood-brain barrier consciousness, trying to go through the wall of fire, trying to break through your firewall, trying to breach into your womb of consciousness. And they're just sitting there. They were always there. They were also the ones that claimed everything that we existed and done for ourselves. They were the ones that spun the story. They were the ones that were doing the crystal technology abusers, etc., etc., etc. I think for as far as I'm going within this material that I'm sharing with you, uh, it's something that you are aware of. You can see it, you can sense it. It's beyond the archetypal belief of archons. Okay, it's beyond that. Archons are like grade one. It's not. Okay, these things exist in a structure that they have made for themselves to exist in as a parasitical element that is a bylaw. You get a law and then you get a bylaw. The bylaw you can take away, and then the law still stands. The natural law, the universal law still stands. You can't add a bylaw to it unless the majority of people agree that the bylaw should exist. So if we believe in things that, if we believe in their power and their existence and all of that shit that they do to people, and we keep hearing about it every day, we empower them. You see, they basically take your eyes away from you and they place it there. I think there was a story called Pan's Labyrinth where that creature had no eyes. He had his eyes in his hands. And that is a very um, esoteric, very, very, very descriptive process of, I think, where we are right now. I think we should watch it again with the awareness that if my eyes are in my hands, then it means that they could lead me away from where I'm supposed to be, or I can see with what I'm touching. Start thinking in that way. This is why this channel is so unique. The energy that is in this channel is absolute great spirit energy at all times. Whenever you are entering into this channel, you are experiencing a different way of thinking. Call it lateral thinking, non-linear thinking, spatial awareness. Okay. So we must be aware that they are operating in a transfixing, hypnotic, Kabbalistic, magician principle, because that actually just is a mirror, smoke and mirrors. I keep saying, I think I said it for so many years, that they operate through smoke and mirrors. They are the mirrors. They are the opposite of us. Do they have a right to exist here? Perhaps. It will keep us on our toes. But do they have the right to overstep the balance? No. We do not also have the right to overstep the balance either. So this is why everything is so slow right now. This is why there's such a strange lull in the energy. Even though it feels like it's moving fast, it's slow because they can only do that much. And we can only do that much. We can ascend and expand and grow, become aware of who we are. They only go operate in a linear process, but they're using magic. They're using craft, a particular tool, a skill to try and bring us to their side so that they can overtip the balance, so that they can actually eventually take over. That is what they want to do. So I think what sparked all of this nonsense in terms of them and us, I think what sparked it all off was the movie The Matrix, or the series of movies of The Matrix. I feel it's very important that we must understand that the movie The Matrix talks about moon magic, mother, their mother, the Orion Queen. How they then explain to us is Morpheus, that is his name. Morpheus, the name Morpheus is it's important for us to understand that Morpheus is a Roman god who is the god of sleep, sleep, and hands out to you a red pill and a blue pill. Choose one side. Why is Morpheus put in there? So to put us back into sleep, keep us asleep. All these people that keep calling their channels and bringing that energy out and saying escape from the matrix and red pill society, red pill this and red pilled that, and social engineering in terms of staying asleep. The same creature that's holding out the two polarities to you. You must choose one polarity, receiving which one is real and which one is not. Choose nothing. Choose no pill. No pill. Wake up within yourself first. Why do you need another to wake you up with a pill? It's the instant gratification, and that frequency is tied in to the Atlantean fall. So be mindful. Morpheus is something that is used to remind you of sleeping. The process of this archetypal god is to represent inactivity, inanimated things. You can look it up. I'll show you. I'll put the link at the bottom for you to see. Crystallizing your energy. Stay frozen. Frozen. Stay frozen. Stay crystal. Crystal clear. Stop. 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 Use your stones. Use these stones. Speak to them. Connect to them. Let it assist you. Because these are keys. They are keys of a piano. They are keys of a music instrument. This is a music instrument. Acknowledge it for that. Let it give you the tones that you're requiring to assist you. Don't worship them. I've got a lot of them right here in the corner there, and they are all presenting. They have a symphony for me every day. So, the fall of Atlantis, to recap it all, is the inversion of Atlantis is the inversion of Eden. Eden represents life, consciousness, awareness, delights, the garden of delights, the first flame of light, awareness, day, creation, and Atlantis represents that which is organic in a frozen state. It freezes everything up. And they are trying to petrify people to to accept their shit, to accept it. And then so you are slowed down so that you can't move around. That's what their intention is. That's what the parasites are doing. Like I said, they are the mirrors. We can choose if we want to bring everything back into balance again. This is what we're doing. We're putting them back in their place by claiming ourselves. The more we claim ourselves, the more we are digging into the warm, round earth of the energy that we are existing in, the earth, the Eden, the garden of the lights. Your conscious creative thoughts are delights. They are delightful. Delightful. So you've always had the light within you. And again, like I've said to you, this is not the white light, dark light. Think rainbow colors if you really need to find something in your thoughts. Think multi spectrum light in every form. So I'm I never do this, but I'm going to say this. I'm predicting there's going to be a lot of information on diamonds. Going to hear stuff about diamonds, things that are the girl's best friend, which is the soul. Soul is girl. Soul is feminine, always. Doesn't matter what body you are in. The soul is feminine because she is listening to you, higher consciousness, your higher spirit, talking to her. Your higher spirit is masculine and feminine. It is a balance between masculine and feminine. It is a balance. And the soul is feminine and it receives the information from the higher self so that you can then express it out into this reality and bring it all the way back in again and feed yourself. Live from it. Live from it, live off of it, but don't live in it. Don't make it become your reality. We are on the move. We are explorers. We are nomadic. We move all the time. We are alive. We are like fire. We are like earth, air, fire, water. We are alive. We are alive because we are in this reality. We are not crystallized. We are not transhumanistic. We are not inanimated, genderless subjects. Be mindful, that's the key. Also, be mindful about the term Christ-like. Christ-like. Christ, Christos is fire. And so they try to crystallize Christ, the fire, Christos. They try to freeze fire. So they created an inversion of that as well. This is not in reference to the person that existed. Perhaps there were multiple people that existed as the Christos energy, which is, I think, pretty much really that's where we are going. That's what it really was multitude of people who experienced and lived as Christos energy, like we are right now. Not Christ-like, not crystallized like fire. You cannot freeze the fire-branded energy within you. You cannot. It's not possible. You're moving at such a high revolution, a high state of consciousness that it cannot touch you. Just be mindful of that. Take it in for yourself. Another thing, before I end off, the Tower of Babylon is the pillar of, or the door between what is warm and what is cold. When the tower falls, they will try and push through the ritualizations of diamonds because they will try and fasten or harden the door, the tower. They will try and freeze the door in place. When it falls, along with it comes a lot of water because what happens to ice when it melts? Lots of water. Okay. And what will happen to them? They will have to face physical death, which everyone is afraid of, which they are more afraid of than anybody else because they don't know where to go. They really don't know where to go. That's what petrifies them the most. We know where to go. We go towards the womb where we come from. We go to the womb that is connected. We go into the belly of God, put it like that. Go in there. Which, for interest's sake, just for interest's sake, the whole mythological story about Saturn having his belly cut open and or him eating the children, all that shit is an inversion of people dying and going into Great Spirit, which is a representation of Saturn, which was really spun quite badly, so that we must all think and fear that God is a eater, that God, that Saturn God is a eater of man. When you die, when you physically leave your body, you enter into the mouth, into the belly of Great Spirit. It's where you come from. You are safe in the belly. When I say belly, please don't think literal. Do not think literal of any of these things that we are talking about. I feel it's important for you to take note of that. This is an archetypal, metaphorical, metaphysical discussion, as always. I'm leaving it with you Take note, we are in high changes. We have a lot of change taking place right now. Let's rock it. Thank you so much again for those who have found yourselves on this channel, the new ones that have joined. Thank you so much. Much love.